honk. Being the habitual cynic that I am, I instinctively responded with a rather impolite gesture. I turned my back on the situation and continued walking, assuming it was just another annoyance. However, fate decided to play a cruel joke on me. Not even a minute later, my phone rang and a stern voice greeted me with a shocking revelation. It turned out that the driver who honked at me was none other than my grandmother, who was visiting campus with my grandparents. They had been trying to wave and catch my attention, but little did I know that my years of city living had conditioned me to associate a car horn with annoyance rather than a friendly gesture. TLDR. Flipped off a driver on campus, only to find out it was my grandma trying to wave at me. AITA for not switching seats? I boarded the train from London to Paris yesterday with my family, and when we got to our booked and assigned table seats there were 3 Americans sitting there from a big tour group. Their argument was that someone had taken their seats, and they. Was I out of line for not relocating my family? We took the train from London to Paris yesterday, and upon reaching our reserved table seats, we found 3 tourists from a large tour group occupying them. They claimed that the seats were taken, but refused to specify which seats they were originally assigned to. Given that I had 2 young children, a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, with me and didn't want to leave their sides for the 2-hour journey, I declined their request to vacate our designated seats. Instead, I asked them to find alternative accommodations, which they reluctantly agreed to do. Upon disembarking at the destination, the 2 girls from the tour group gave me an icy stare. Was I in the wrong for not switching seats? I got accepted into medical school. Oh my god, I am so happy. Sorry, I have nowhere else to scream. I did it loudly, crying loudly, crying loudly, crying loudly, crying. After months of losing sleep and being nothing but stressed, I finally got into my dream medical school, loudly crying, loudly crying, loudly crying, loudly crying. I really didn't think I could do. I've achieved my goal of entering medical school. I'm utterly overjoyed and I don't have a more suitable outlet to express my elation. Months of sacrificing sleep and enduring unrelenting stress have finally paid off, as I've been accepted into my top choice medical school. It's a dream come true, and I'm still trying to process the magnitude of this accomplishment. I'm on the verge of tears as I reflect on the journey that led me to this moment. Edit. I'm touched by the outpouring of support and well wishes that I've received. Your kind words mean the world to me, and I'm grateful for the sense of community that we share. Your enthusiasm has only motivated me further, and I'm committed to working tirelessly to make you all proud. My wife is pregnant. We, 31M, 26F, just found out yesterday morning. She said she was feeling a little off and just took a pregnancy test on a whim. We've been talking about having kids soon, but we weren't trying by any means. I guess this is what happens when you get drunk. We're expecting a new addition to our family. The news we received yesterday morning has left us both in a state of bliss. My wife mentioned she wasn't feeling quite herself and decided to take a pregnancy test on a spontaneous whim. Our conversations about starting a family were just beginning to take shape, but we weren't actively trying to conceive. I suppose fate had other plans, especially when we least expected it. It seems that an unforgettable night of laughter and a momentary lapse in judgment might have led to this joyful surprise. I'm beyond thrilled to embark on this incredible journey of parenthood, a dream I've cherished for a long time. My excitement is palpable, and I'm bursting to share the news with everyone, but we need to wait a bit longer to confirm it with loved ones. For now, I just had to express my enthusiasm. Thanks for being here. Every aurora borealis, every soldier coming home to their overjoyed dog, every beautifully old school cool photo, might be the last beautiful thing I see. I have stage 4 cancer and an uncertain amount of time left, with a constant possibility of complications. I don't care. In a world full of breathtaking aurora borealis displays, tear-jerking reunions between soldiers and their overjoyed canine companions, and timeless photographs that capture the essence of a bygone era, I might have just witnessed the last of these precious moments. My stage 4 cancer diagnosis has left me with an unpredictable time frame and the looming possibility of unforeseen complications. I'm not even sure if this is the right forum to share my heartfelt sentiments, but Reddit has unexpectedly touched my heart in ways I never thought possible, and I feel compelled to express my gratitude. A huge thank you goes out to the Reddit community for your unwavering kindness, generosity, and camaraderie. You've made a profound impact on my life, and I'm deeply grateful for your presence. Edit. I'm truly humbled by the generous gestures of the kind strangers who have bestowed upon me gold, silver, and platinum awards. Son got accepted to Stanford Law School. I've been sobbing since he called me with the news. He is so happy. I was raped when I was 15 and dropped out to take care of him. He was the first in the family to go to college, let alone to graduate school. He is such a hard worker and my world was turned upside down with the news that my son had been accepted into Stanford Law School. I couldn't help but burst into tears when he called me to share the incredible news. He was beaming with excitement. The weight of our past struggles has never been lost on me, particularly the difficulties we faced as a family after I was a victim of a traumatic event at the age of 15. I had to put my own life on hold to care for him, and his determination to succeed only strengthened my resolve. He's always been an exceptional individual, intelligent, hardworking, kind, and compassionate. His academic achievements are a testament to his unwavering dedication, and he's truly the first in our family to break through the barriers of higher education. I couldn't be more proud of the person he's become and the incredible accomplishments he's achieved, including an outstanding score of 99.5% on the LSAT. As I struggled to contain my emotions, my son revealed that he'd already purchased a plane ticket for me to visit him at Stanford, an unforgettable gesture that speaks volumes about his love and appreciation for me. Seeing the pride and joy in his eyes has only made me love him more, and I look forward to the opportunity to visit. Hid my boss's car keys and he had to buy new ones, and he smashed his window thinking his keys were in there. So I was 17 and my boss wrote me up for being 2 minutes late. He was a super cool guy, but his boss got on him about how much money the company is making, so my boss got all in. My boss's car keys vanished into thin air, prompting him to replace them and, in a moment of desperation, smash his own window in a misguided attempt to retrieve them. I was 17 years old at the time, and my boss, who had always been laid back, had been tasked with cutting costs by his demanding superior. His newfound sense of urgency had turned him into a strict disciplinarian, and I was the first to feel the brunt of his new policy. When he wrote me up for being 2 minutes late, I couldn't help but feel that it was unfair, considering my relaxed demeanor and youthful energy. In a fit of pique, my boss had left his car keys on the desk, and I, with a mischievous glint in my eye, decided to relocate them to the rooftop. He spent an entire day searching for them, and I, with a sympathetic ear, offered to help him scour the premises for the missing keys. Edit: this story was likely fabricated for entertainment purposes. Update: this story may have been exaggerated or altered to fit the storyteller's narrative. TLDR: a 17-year-old employee plays a prank on their boss, relocating his car keys and watching as he smashes his window in TIFU by setting my bidet to max. As the title says, I did exactly this. My stomach was having a particularly raunchy morning after consuming both dairy and gluten in the same meal, and my body had made the decision to cancel all plans for the next hour as I'd be glued to the toy. TIFU by maxing out my bidet's power. I had a rather unpleasant morning after consuming a meal containing dairy and gluten, which caused my body to decide I needed a temporary reprieve from the world. Feeling a bit better after a bathroom break, I thought it was time to freshen up and adjusted my bidet to its low setting. However, as I did this, the pressure began to decrease, making it difficult to get a good clean. In an attempt to restore the optimal pressure, I gradually increased the setting, which unexpectedly landed on max. The result was a sudden and intense surge of water that felt like a merciless onslaught, sending me reeling as it tore through my lower regions. For a few brief moments, I was frozen in shock, desperately trying to shut off the bidet while maintaining a precarious balance to avoid getting drenched. My anxiety reached its peak as I felt a strange, sloshing sensation, anticipating a massive, explosive fart. But what emerged instead was a relentless gush of water that left me feeling helpless and bewildered. It was as if the bidet had unleashed a hidden faucet within my body, spewing forth a 40-second torrent of water that seemed to be washing away everything in its path. Eventually AITA for expecting my boyfriend to replace all my socks, the exact same ones as I had before? This might seem silly. I, 24F, like wearing cheerful socks, since my uniform is all white, currently working as an phlebotomist. It usually cheers up the patients too. I've spent am I the asshole, AITA, for expecting my boyfriend to replenish my entire collection of unique socks? I'm a 24-year-old female phlebotomist who wears cheerful socks as part of my uniform to brighten up patients' days. I've spent years collecting a variety of quirky socks featuring my favorite characters and foods, accumulating around 30 pairs. My boyfriend, a 29-year-old male, has always been critical of my sock collection, deeming them childish. To compromise, I agreed to only wear them at work and avoid wearing them on dates or social gatherings. However, during a recent visit from his parents, I accidentally wore one of my childish socks. His mother complimented my thoughtfulness in wearing them to work, but my boyfriend seemed displeased. The next day, I discovered that all my socks had been removed and replaced with plain black socks. I confronted him, and he explained that he had disposed of my collection and bought new socks to prevent me from embarrassing him in the future. I was shocked and hurt by his decision, considering that my sock collection was a labor of love that took time and effort to acquire. I compiled a list of the missing socks and requested that he replace them. Company throws a corporate retreat at a plantation in southern Alabama with a period-appropriate costume ball. Only black guy that works for the company shows up dressed as a slave. I am not op. Original post by you, Bisfati in R. I'm going to hell for this. Sub is quarantined in amp, pre. A company's sobering lesson in inclusion. A black employee's bold response to a period-inappropriate party at a corporate retreat held on a historic plantation in southern Alabama. Employees were asked to dress in period-appropriate attire for a costume ball. Unbeknownst to the organizers, their lone black employee decided to take the theme to a different level. Donning a slave costume, the employee, who wishes to remain anonymous, attended the party and captured the reactions of his colleagues. In a bold move, he shared the experience online, sparking a heated conversation about corporate culture, inclusion, and the power of satire. As news of the incident spread, the company's HR department swung into action, with the employee reportedly having a conversation with the head of HR. The outcome of this meeting was significant. The employee who had come up with the idea was promoted and received a substantial raise, while the person responsible for the party's theme was let go. In a statement, the employee explained that his intention was not to cause offense but to highlight the company's lack of consideration for its minority employees. When asked about the idea behind the costume, he revealed that it was born out of frustration with being overlooked at previous company events. The employee's actions have sparked a "my husband, M26, ignored our safe word while trying CNC, consensual non-consent, and I'm torn. My husband, M26, and I, F20, have been exploring more when it comes to sex. One of the things we've just recently come across is CNC. We both agreed to do and came up with the S. My husband's actions during our consensual non-consent experiment have left me feeling bewildered and hurt. My husband, M26, and I, F20, have been exploring the realm of sex together, and one of the more recent topics we've delved into is CNC. We agreed to it, established a safe word, and were both on the same page. However, during the experience, he became increasingly forceful with me. I expressed my desire to stop using our agreed-upon safe word, but he chose to disregard it, ignoring my pleas the first and second times I used it. I attempted to push him away, but he overpowered me, holding me down until he was finished. Since then, he has been treating me poorly. I voiced my concerns, telling him that he had ignored our safe word, but he dismissed my feelings, saying that I was overreacting and that his actions added to the excitement and realism of the experience. I felt compelled to remind him that his behavior bordered on a traumatic experience, akin to a form of assault, and he responded by downplaying the situation, stating that it's impossible for a husband to rape his wife. His behavior has been hurtful, and he's been treating me as if I'm WIBTA if I send my parents to jail. My 29F parents have always been in financial trouble, something that I have never been able to understand because they both have a really generous salary, more than 3 times my own. Because of these financial troubles, my aunts, uncles. Would I be the asshole if I had my parents incarcerated? As I approach 30, I've grown increasingly perplexed by the perpetual financial struggles of my parents, who boast salaries significantly higher than mine. The consequence of their financial instability has been a constant barrage of problems, including repeated evictions, utility cutoffs, and pleas for help from our aunts, uncles, and grandmother. These recurring issues have taken a severe toll on my mental and emotional well-being. My relationship with my parents has been strained for years, primarily due to their exploitative behavior. They would frequently coerce me into paying for various expenses using my holiday earnings, or ask me to borrow money from our grandmother, all while my mother continued to splurge on luxury items like handbags and jewelry. As I gained financial independence, they began signing bills in my name without my consent, leveraging my good credit to circumvent their own poor financial standing. When I discovered this deceit, I requested they cease, but they simply lied and continued their behavior. Recently, due to the pandemic, I was eagerly anticipating the reimbursement from my income tax return, which would have greatly alleviated my financial burden. However, instead, I received a notice from the courthouse stating that the money had been confiscated. Upon AITA for telling off a lady in a supermarket after she made the teenage cashier cry? So, this happened yesterday, and I'm still wondering if I overreacted. I, 35F, was doing my usual weekly grocery shopping at a local supermarket. It was a busy afternoon, and the line at the supermarket confrontation. AITA for standing up to a bully? It's still lingering in my mind if I overreacted. Yesterday, I, 35F, was doing my weekly grocery shopping at a local supermarket, and it ended up being a heated encounter. I had been waiting patiently in line, but a woman in front of me, around mid-50s, started getting increasingly irritated as the young cashier, who likely couldn't have been more than 17, was scanning her items. The cashier was visibly flustered, likely due to being new and making a few minor mistakes. However, this didn't deter the woman, who started muttering and tapping her foot. When the cashier accidentally scanned an item twice and needed to call for a supervisor to correct the issue, the woman completely lost her composure. She viciously berated the cashier, saying things like, "How hard can it be? You're incompetent and wasting people's time." She continued yelling, which made the cashier even more flustered until she started crying. I initially stood there, hoping the situation would resolve itself, but the woman's behavior didn't change. At this point, I decided to intervene. I calmly said to the supervisor, "She's treating Meta. Warning for all posters. What happens in AITA does not stay in AITA." It would seem that some popular social media personalities have decided that this is a great sub for content. The God Facebook page likes to mine AITA content, look for assholes, and put them on BL. Warning for all posters. What happens in AITA does not stay in AITA. Some influential figures on various social media platforms seem to think this sub is the perfect place to share their stories. A well-known Facebook page, dubbed the God page, has taken it upon itself to scour the AITA community for entertaining content, specifically targeting individuals they deem to be unlikable, and then broadcasts these stories to a wider audience through the dodo. Moreover, a recent poster has reported that their story was also picked up by The Mirror, a popular news outlet. It's likely not an isolated incident. Many of you share your personal experiences on this platform because your friends and family aren't active on Reddit, but the situation has taken a turn, and you now need to consider other social media platforms your acquaintances may be using. To preserve your anonymity, it's essential to take extra precautions. Using throwaway accounts is already recommended, but to be thorough, make sure to change identifying details sufficiently, beyond just using initials, and modify any irrelevant information. Edit. This warning has been brought to the attention of the broader Reddit community on r/all, and many users have pointed out that numerous other subreddits are also being mined for content. Remember to prioritize TIFU by giving a stray dog $20 while tripping on acid. TIFU by giving a stray dog a $20 bill while tripping on acid. I had dropped some acid with my friends a few hours earlier and I was just leaving their place to go down the road to my house. I was still. My nighttime misadventure. A tale of kindness and impulsivity as I left my friend's place after a few hours of indulging in a psychedelic experience, I found myself on a surreal journey to my house. My mind was racing, and my senses were heightened to an almost overwhelming degree. A scruffy-looking dog, sans collar, approached me with an unmistakable air of desperation in its eyes. An inexplicable bond formed between us, and I found myself pondering the hardships it must have faced to arrive at this point. Without any rational consideration, I reached into my wallet and handed the dog a $20 bill. It seized the note in its jaws and disappeared into the night. My fleeting sense of satisfaction gave way to a creeping realization of my actions a little over an hour later. I couldn't help but imagine a scenario where the dog, with its newfound treasure, stumbled into a nearby store and somehow managed to procure food in exchange for the 20. Although the likelihood of this outcome seemed slim, I couldn't shake off the feeling that, at the very least, I had attempted to do some good. TLDR. Did drugs, attempted to be kind, gave a dog money. TIFU by turning my grandpa into a weeaboo. My grandma died last year and grandpa's TKEN it hard. Now he used to be the dirty old man sort of guy, so I thought getting him Nekopara Volume 0, a visual novel about catgirls, for Christmas would be nice. A few days ago, we met up ITIFU by transforming my grandfather into an anime aficionado. My grandmother's passing last year was a devastating loss for my grandfather. He had always been a bit of a free spirit, but after her death, he became even more carefree. I thought getting him Nekopara Volume 0, a visually stunning interactive game featuring feline girls, for Christmas would bring a smile to his face. Recently, we met at a wedding, and I was thrilled to see my grandfather. He started enthusiastically discussing the game with me, and I initially thought I had made a great choice. However, I soon realized that my involvement had set off a chain reaction. We returned to his residence, and the scene was one of utter transformation. Grandfather. Behold, I have some new additions to my home decor. Mother. Dad, what is all this clutter? Grandfather. Ah, these are the wonderful items from the game that my extraordinary grandson gifted me. The entire apartment was awash in Nekopara figurines, posters, merchandise, and more. His bedroom boasted a gigantic body pillow adorned with the game's characters. My family now views me with disdain for turning my grandfather into a self-proclaimed anime enthusiast. Today, I received a TIFU when my best mate changed his name in my phone to Sexy Jess from work. So several years ago my best mate Todd changed his name in my phone to Sexy Jess from work, and then would ring my phone in the middle of the nig to try and get me in trouble with my partner. But the time I unknowingly involved my best mate in a prank with my 8-year-old daughter, so my best mate Todd had this silly name saved in my phone several years ago. Sexy Jess from work. It was a joke between us back then, and he would sometimes call me with that name to try and get me into trouble with my partner. However, my partner had known Todd before we started dating, so his prank rarely worked. Fast forward 6 or 7 years to the weekend just passed. I was watching TV on the couch, and my partner was upstairs. Our 8-year-old daughter was bored, so I handed her my phone to play a game on. That's when things took a turn for the worse. I had never changed Todd's name back, so when Sexy Jess from work called my phone, my daughter freaked out. She came running into the lounge room, crying, and threw my phone at me. She then screamed, "I hate you, Dad," before running off upstairs. I was left sitting there, feeling confused. After a few seconds, I followed her upstairs, hearing her cry and then my partner's laughter. I was even more confused, so I headed to the bedroom AITA for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard. I am not op. Original post by you, Jimothy is your uncle in R, Amethyst Hole, and AMP, NBSP. AITA for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard? 27 Ma. Was I in the wrong for taking my girlfriend to court after she had my prized 1967 Impala project scrapped? I will attempt to keep this concise. I had a 1967 Impala 4-door that I acquired in February 2019. A few months ago, I moved into a house with a 2.5 car garage, and I decided to restore my car there. The project had been ongoing for almost 2 years, and I had invested over $11,000 in it, including purchasing the car itself, new parts, and services. My girlfriend moved in with me during the crisis and had been expressing her dislike for the car. I assured her that she could park her own vehicle elsewhere on the property, which had many suitable areas under shady trees or even in the barn. However, she continued to complain about the car being in the garage. I was away on a business trip for a couple of days. When I returned, my girlfriend seemed cheerful and accommodating, doing all the household chores and cooking for me. However, I soon realized that my car was missing from the garage. I asked her about it, and she told me to check the garage for myself. Upon inspecting the garage, I discovered that while I was away, my TIFU by yelling at a horny cat. So, we've got hundreds of feral, stray cats living in the woods behind my house. When I can, ITNR, trap, neuter, release them. The local place will give them their shots, spay, neuter them, and then ear tip them to mark them as fixed, all for $1. I lost my mind by screaming at a horny feline. There's a considerable population of feral and stray cats inhabiting the woods behind my residence. When possible, I engage in TNR practices, trap, neuter, release, to help manage their numbers. A nearby organization offers a generous deal. For $27, they provide the necessary medical care, spay, neuter services, and an ear tip to signify that the cat has been fixed. Last night, at approximately 2 a.m., I was awoken by the persistent howling of a sexually frustrated cat outside my window. In an effort to deter it, I utilized a can of pennies to chase the animal away. However, it wasn't long before the cat returned, prompting me to shout out my window at the cat, "Cease your incessant noise this instant or you will face confinement in one of my traps." This outburst seemed to be sufficient in sending the cat scurrying away. Just 30 minutes ago, I was surprised to see 4 police cars parked in my driveway and several state troopers knocking on my door. After explaining the situation to them, they conducted interviews with the 6 individuals residing in my household. Following this investigation, the authorities departed, satisfied that AITA for dropping my freeloading brother off at our aunt's house after she called and scolded me for evicting him. My older brother, Ob, is a bit of a bum. It's mean to say, but it's true. He can never hang on to a job for longer than a couple years max, and when he inevitably. My siblings and I come from a family where expectations are high, but our older brother's work ethic and personal habits are a far cry from our parents' aspirations. He's had a string of short-lived jobs, which has led him to rely heavily on our family and friends for financial and emotional support. His lengthy stayovers often strain relationships, and it's no surprise his friends have cut him off. Recently, OB found himself without a job and turned to our parents for assistance. However, our parents were already hosting our eldest brother's family, who had lost their jobs and were in a similar predicament. So, OB turned to me, his little sister, to provide temporary housing until he got back on his feet. Although I initially agreed to help, the 6-month stay was a nightmare. OB's lack of cleanliness and respect for boundaries made it difficult for me to manage our household. I gave him an ultimatum: find a new place within 2 weeks, but he seemed unbothered by the prospect of leaving. Following a heated argument with our parents, I dropped Ob off at our aunt's house, where I was told he would be better off. I initially felt guilty about my decision, but our aunt's advice: I'm considering leaving my wife because of her weight. I am not Ob. Original post by you, Frora overweight in R, relationship advice trigger warning. And AMP, GT, PPD, and AMP, LT, mood spoiler. And AMP, GT, happy ending. And AMP, LT, and AMP, NBSP. I'm 32M, considering leaving my wife, 30F, because of he. My marriage is on the line due to my wife's weight. I am not Op. Original post by you, Frora overweight in R, relationship advice trigger warning. And AMP, GT, PPD, and AMP, LT, mood spoiler. And AMP, GT, happy ending. And AMP, LT, and AMP, NBSP. I've been struggling with my wife's weight. The 7th of June 2021. Before I'm judged, let me explain. I adore my wife, and after she gave birth to our son 3 years ago, I found her even more beautiful. However, she put on a significant amount of baby weight and instead of losing it, continued to gain more. Her depression, which I initially thought was postpartum, was eventually managed with therapy and medication, but her physical health remains a concern. My concern isn't about my attraction to her, it's about her health and well-being. At 5 feet 2 inches and 260 pounds, with a BMI of nearly 50, she's at risk of serious health complications, including heart disease, which runs in her family. I've tried to support her by suggesting we exercise together and maintain a healthy diet, but she's declined. I feel powerless and am considering giving her an ultimatum TIFU by freezing my penis. This happened 2 days ago, and though the consequences of said foo have subsided, the lessons I learned along the way will stay with me forever. I love bad food, and therefore have to run in order to eat said food without ballooning to immense purport. I had a rather unfortunate incident while running. This occurred 2 days ago, and although the consequences of my blunder have since subsided, the valuable lessons I learned will remain with me for a lifetime. I'm a huge fan of indulging in unhealthy food, which necessitates regular exercise to counterbalance the effects on my physique. On Saturday, I decided to engage in a moderately lengthy jog, as I was planning to attend my daughter's birthday celebration at an all-you-can-eat restaurant nearby our residence. Given the chilly weather, I donned my cold weather running attire, but in my haste, I overlooked wearing my usual compression underwear. I rationalized that my sweats would suffice, despite the 28°F temperature. As I continued running, I needed to urinate halfway through, but the sensation subsided after about 5 to 6 minutes. However, roughly 10 minutes later, I realized I had lost all sensation in the lower area, and the tip of my penis felt completely numb. I became increasingly concerned, so I turned away from the road, removed my glove, and inspected the area. It was bitterly cold, with no discernible feeling. It turned out that not wearing undergarments had exposed the tip of my penis to the elements. TIFU by putting a 5-hour energy in my vagina 12 hours before my first grown-up job interview. I was sent a drug test permission form which stated it was to be done on company's grounds. Considering I smoke weed daily, I started looking up ways to pass a drug test. I came a gaffe of epic proportions. A tale of a misguided attempt to pass a drug test as I prepared for my first grown-up job interview. A sense of trepidation washed over me. A day prior, I had received a drug test permission form indicating that the test would be conducted on the company's premises. Given my daily weed habit, I knew I had to take drastic measures. I frantically searched for a solution, finally deciding that I needed clean urine, a small container, and a way to maintain its body temperature. A makeshift plan was hatched, but a crucial component, temperature strips, remained elusive. Desperation took hold, and I resorted to an unorthodox idea: inserting a 5-hour energy bottle, slightly wider than the standard, into my vagina. I tested the concept the night before, ensuring a secure and easily retrievable setup. Fast forward to the interview. With a 1.5-hour commute, I decided to wait until arrival to implement my plan. I applied coconut oil before inserting the bottle, just in case an impromptu test was administered. As I entered the office building, my anxiety spiked, and my mind began racing. Upon taking a seat, I realized something was. Teacher tells me to keep my